Hi, just going to run through a tutorial on how to make a glossy button, sort of in the style of Apple's Aqua. So anyway, what we want to look at, I've got a new document that's just simply a 640 by 480. So you would do the same thing. You just want to make a new document, 640 by 480, should be available in under the web settings, and you want to hit OK if you're following along. And you're going to get this this type of window right here. And to start things off, what I need is I'm going to need a new empty layer. And on this layer, I'm going to draw the base shape for the button. So I'm going to go to my elliptical marquee. Okay. You want to make sure that your tools are reset. In case you've been playing around with Photoshop, you can reset the tools at any time simply by right-clicking or control-clicking on it if you're on a Mac. So I hit Reset All Tools. Okay, and that'll set everything back to default for me. You can do individual tools, as you can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a circular selection. So I start dragging, I hold down Shift to keep it constrained. Create my selection. And what I need to do is create a gradient that's color at the top going down to white. So I switch to my gradient tool. And you can see I'm using a foreground to background at the moment. So that means I can set my colors here. So I'm going to click on the foreground color swatch. And I'm going to change my color here to red. Okay, and I'm going to click at the very top here of the selection, drag down. I hold Shift just to make sure that it drags straight, and I release. And I get my filled in shape on my layer. Okay, I'm going to deselect, Control D. Okay, can be also found under Select, Deselect in the menu. And after that, I just need to add a little bit of an edge effect here. So I'm going to go into my Effects panel. And you're not going to be able to see this. I'm going to move this up. Okay, so under the effects, I'm going to use Inner Glow. And what I need to do in the Inner Glow panel, I need to be able to sample the color off here. So you're going to have to position this carefully so that when you bring up the color pick, it's not going to be in the way of the of your sample. So you got to move your effects panel over just so you can see the color of your object. Now I want to change this to normal, and I want to set the foreground color here by eyedropping the red off my object. And you can see what that does to the edge right here. So you can pick a darker shade if you want, and that'll help the edge stand out differently, but I tend to just use the color of the button for this, and that's fine. So I want to increase the size just a bit. Okay, and that looks okay. So I'll hit OK on that. You can always go back and refine the effects afterwards. Now here's the main part of it, where you need the gloss point on the top of this object. So I'm going to add a layer. And I'm going to call this gloss. Okay, and layer 1 I'm going to rename, I'm going to rename that button. Okay, go back to my gloss layer here. And what I want to do is I want to actually create another selection and do a white to transparent. So I grab my selection tool again, and I just draw an elliptical selection. Now this can be about halfway, and you just want to make sure you get a good offset position, and what you should be looking for is a really good sort of tapering right there on the sides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to my gradient tool again, and I want to draw a white to transparent gradient downward.